Welcome to Metal Vice, a podcast where we talk about all things music.
Well, the things we care about.
That's right, which is mainly metal music and live music. I'm your host, Brian, joined with your other host,
Karen.
Karen, that is right, it is Karen. What are we talking about, Karen?
Norma Jean.
That's right,
Brian.
Norma Jean.
Let's just say names, random names.
This was part of their 1994 North American tour. I kind of like that name. I don't know why.
Oh, 1994.
I don't know why I really like that tour name.
Not 2024.
I know nothing about this band. I knew nothing about this band going into it.
Yep.
The only thing I knew is it's Norma Jean, which is the real name of Marilyn Monroe. And they were supposed to play at Park West. And I was like, I'm done. I'm sold. I'm ready to go. I know they're a metal band of some sort. Let's go check this fucking shit out. I'm super pumped. Let's go check this out. If you had asked me ahead of time if I was excited for this, I would say yes. I was super ready for this show. One of my most anticipated shows of late.
Of recently?
Yeah, and that's not knowing anything about the band, just the name alone and at Park West. And that's because we saw Mia and Allie at Park West earlier this year.
Yeah.
And it's such a cool and weird fucking venue. And to have a metal band at this venue, it made no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah. It's more of like a lounge type venue.
Yeah, on the boat for Lamb of God, there was a venue called Spinnakers. And I think it was Spinnakers, wasn't it?
I think so.
The ballroom type thing.
Yeah.
That was a very similar setup where you have the stage, this sort of dance floor thing. And then you have like 2 or 3 layers of steps going up with these loungy seats.
Right.
With like leather seats and tables that you hang out in and just sort of enjoy the music type thing. If you want to go to the dance floor, you do the dance floor thing. Me and Allie was changed where the dance floor was taken over by reserved seating, basically, right? They had like VIP seating and whatnot, but it was tables like tables you'd have at like a graduation or something, right?
Yeah,
like folding tables,
long folding tables,
and folding chairs that you just sat in. Really, like
it
again,
was odd.
It was a really weird venue. I really liked it for that particular show. And then when I saw that this show was going to be there, like a metal show at this place, I need to fucking check this out.
Yeah.
We also tried to go there for our first show back in Chicago, I think, for Apocalyptica playing all Metallica when they came out with that Metallica album. And I had just gotten like an ad for it like 2 days before the Friday show or the Saturday show or something on my Facebook. I'm like, oh, they're going to have tickets. I was telling you this. You're like, are they going to have tickets? Like, yeah, it's Metallica music, which sure is very popular, with cello music, which more classical. So that Venn diagram of Metallica and classical cellos getting together, like that Venn diagram is very small. That overlap is very small. We walked up to Park West, went to the box office. We'd like 2 tickets, please. Like, we're sold out. We've been sold out for months, sir. What are you doing? And I was pissed. And it's like, but my Facebook told me you had tickets still on sale. It's just, honestly, I think that was resellers, like probably on StubHub and shit. Like, you need to buy our tickets.
That whole story makes me laugh because around that same time, you tried to get like a haircut or something and you didn't make an appointment.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we live in Chicago now. Like, you can't just walk up to something and be like, I want to do this.
I did it all the time in Iowa growing up. Like, you just walk up and say, hey, I want an appointment, or I want to get a haircut. All right, well, I'm busy. Come back in like 10 minutes or something like that, right? Here in Chicago, sure, there's a lot more people, but there's also a lot more places to get your fucking haircut done. Why are there so many motherfuckers trying to get their haircut done at the exact same time I hate this. Let's make an appointment and go do something.
I book my haircuts out like 3 or 4 months in advance.
I hate the fucking scheduled bullshit. That's why I cut my head off. Or my hair off. My hair, yeah. Getting back to music and shit. So Park West, I was super excited to get there for Park West. But let's get back to the show also a little bit. Joining Norma Jean this time around, we have Darkest Hour, We Weren't Invited, and Suncrusher as the 3 bands for another 4-band set. We just saw one last night, or the night before, with Sepultura. It was the next very night. This was at Bottom Lounge. Tickets for this were $25 with $7.39 in fees. No tax.
Yeah, both last week's show and this week's show, as I'm editing or posting these, were actually pretty cheap shows, like $33 I think for Sepultura, and this was $25.
Yeah, what was Sepultura? We just recorded that even. I can't remember. Like literally right before.
We recorded it a week ago.
Yeah, that's not how it works. We changed our shirts and came back and did this shit. I'm gonna look it up real quick. right
Pretty
here.
sure I said $33.
Oh shit, it was. It was only $33 for
Yeah.
that. That seems cheap for a final tour
Yeah.
and a 40th celebration type
Yeah.
tour.
So both of these were really good prices.
That's
for
not
4
bad.
bands.
And then $25 for another 4 bands.
Yeah.
Face value, that's $58, $59 for 8 bands.
Yeah.
That's really fucking good, actually.
Yeah.
Fees kind of bullshitty, but whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah. I mean,
all right. Interesting. I did not think about that. And yeah, so that's sort of the reason why I wanted to go to this show, check this show out. I think I just said the show was at Bottom Lounge, and I've been saying for so long that it was at Park West. Originally, it was supposed to be at Park West, and it got moved to Bottom Lounge. By the time we actually bought the tickets, it had already been moved to Bottom Lounge, and I was a little disappointed about that, but I still wanted to go and check it out. Even though it's a Bottom Lounge, we've been there a few times already. I really like Bottom Lounge.
I like it. I like the venue, yeah.
So I wasn't disappointed with the venue change. I was just disappointed in the venue change that it wasn't Park West.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep an eye on for Park West to see a metal show there.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Interesting to see that.
I want to see how it's set up for a metal show.
I just assume that dance floor is open, and again, it's going to be like Spinnakers, and where if you want to hang back, you can just grab a lounge type seat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to see it firsthand and see what's going on. But getting into the show then, I guess, starting with Suncrusher. We don't have a set list for this because they are a smaller, newerish band, I assume, but they are local to Chicago, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
I really, really loved these fucking guys.
Yeah, I really like them. I liked them so much that I almost sent a message to Milwaukee Metal Fest.
Oh, for real?
Guys, I don't know what in my mind made me think about it, but I'm like, I don't even know how this works, but they're local to Chicago. They're so close to Milwaukee. It's get these guys on the bill somehow, some way, somewhere.
So Repentance we had just seen at Bottom Lounge right before this show, and when we were talking about that show and looking up information for that show, I had completely forgot that we had saw Repentance at Milwaukee Metal Fest last year.
Yeah.
Or 2 years ago now, 2023 or whenever it was. Yeah. So there's a possibility they could get out there. If they're listening to this, I seriously doubt they are, but just reach out to Milwaukee Metal Fest maybe and be like, hey, we'd love to play your gig.
Yeah. I don't know how all that shit works. It's something I want to learn, how all the setting up gigs and stuff works, but I don't know why, while watching them perform, I'm like, they would be great for Milwaukee Metal Fest. Yeah,
I don't know much about that either. It'd be awesome to learn about it. Thrash of the Titans, our friends there, Eric, apparently the other guitarist, other than Jerry, I was going to say drummer, but
not apparently, he is the other guitarist.
Yes, not apparently.
Your brain switched sentences in the middle.
It did, yes. Eric, the other guitarist in Thrash of the Titans, I think does a lot of the booking for the band. And apparently he just reaches out and says, we'd love to play your festival. Could we play? Or do you have any gigs open? We'd love to come and play your place. I never thought that's how it was done. I thought they reach out to you, but you got to get your name out there. You got to promote yourself. And we've seen that a lot lately with other bands. Just hey, I'm in a band here. Check this out. We're really bad with that. That's why and I also don't like it. Mainly I don't like it with people on YouTube always like and subscribe to our channel. So we don't do that fucking shit.
Yeah, we don't do that. I even
but
don't
we'd
tell
have
people
more. Yeah, same.
Yeah, I don't tell people I have a podcast.
But you'd grow it a little bit better. And I just hate whenever I turn on a video and the first thing is just make sure you not just like and subscribe. It's like and smash that subscribe button or something like that, right? So you just got to do that. But maybe they need to do that, and hopefully they do. Just reach out to Milwaukee Metal Fest and be like, we'd love to play.
Yeah.
If you'd like to have us, I think that'd be great. Honestly, I do think that'd be great.
Yeah, and I don't even know what part in their performance or their set that I thought about it, but I was just I could see them performing at Milwaukee Metal Fest. So
they come out and it's just 4 young kids. I say young kids, but they're probably in their 20s of some sort.
That's young.
Yeah, we're old basically is what we're saying. But 4 young kids come out. Singer comes out, a bassist, a guitar, and a drummer. Singer sings this song, and he goes off stage after the first track, grabs a guitar to play with rhythm or something, and takes his shirt off. And there's somebody in the crowd take your pants off.
Right.
And he's like, I'm gonna leave my pants on tonight. Thank you very much. good little crowd interaction back and forth.
They have such a good presence for being the first opening band.
Yeah.
Like that's maybe that's where like I got it from, but I'm just like just that presence of like a good. Everybody had a good presence. Like, I think even there was one part where they were like sound checking or something, and the drummer even like yelled out like, "Have it up for Norma Jean" or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. I did want to talk about that a bit because that was the only not annoying thing, but the only part I think that could have been tightened up a little bit with their set, and maybe it will happen just over time as they get more, experience and as they do this more and more and more. And I've noticed it a lot more lately as well with other bands, not just them. But everybody left the stage but the drummer, and they all switched out their guitars for different guitars that were tuned differently, I assume.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
And just last night we saw Vinded, and it was a big complaint I had about that show as well, is after every track, they'd turn around and they'd start tuning up or tuning down their guitars to beat that particular song. In a live set, the audience, I would argue the audience won't fucking know the difference, the vast majority of the audience, if it's tuned properly or not. You're going to have the one or two people who will notice. Fuck them if they don't understand it's a live set and it doesn't sound just like the fucking album does. But if you're trying too hard to sound perfect, like you're not going to, so don't fucking spend the time doing it, is my personal opinion. But that was a little bit of downtime where everybody left and was just dead. The drummer did come out and start like doing the crowd banter, just shouting from behind the kit without any mics or anything.
Yeah.
Which you could do because also there weren't that many people there at this point in time, which is very disappointing because they were so fucking good.
This started at like 6:00 or something like that.
6:30 doors open, 7 was the show. This was like a super quick turnaround from doors to show, which is really weird. Normally it's an hour. Yeah, but like I said, other than that one sort of thing that could be tightened up a little bit of terms of like the dead time while you're all switching out your guitars. Outside of that one tighten up thing, the rest of the set was fucking awesome. Their sound was awesome. Their energy was awesome. Just the banter back and forth was fun and engaging and funny. Which you brought this up before, and I say it all the time. I'm really hit and miss with crowd interaction. This one worked for me. Their interaction with the crowd really, really worked for me, and it was, I don't know, I had a blast watching these guys.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait to see them again. I like immediately started following them on Instagram so we can see where they're playing.
Yeah.
Again, so they'll obviously be here in Chicago at some venue.
Because they're Chicago local for sure. Yeah. Next Chicago local band though was We Were Not Invited.
Yes.
Again, don't have a set list for them.
But this is not the first time we've seen them.
No, this is actually our second time.
Yeah,
This
in
is,
like 2 months.
yes, this is probably our first episode we're going to post about them.
Yeah. We haven't even recorded the other episode
No. They were sort of I don't want to say tacked on, but the additional band for Odo and Bastard Dane.
Yes.
It's Bastard Dane, right? I always fuck that up.
Yeah, Bastard Dane.
We learned how to pronounce it at the show.
Yeah, we I don't even know, for like 2 years we said Bastard Dan.
Yeah.
For so long, so it's it's one of those things like once you say the name differently, then it's hard to switch back or switch to the correct one.
Right. What is it, like bad habits are hard to fix type thing, right?
Yeah.
But we weren't expecting to see them at that show.
No, well, I mean they weren't. I don't remember them being advertised. It was like they were.
Yeah.
They just did the opening bit before Bastard Dane came out.
Yeah, and they announced during that show that we're a Chicago local band. Thanks for having us, Odo and Bastard Dane. This is great. We're super stoked to be here. And I remember really, really liking their sound and set at that show. And I think you weren't as sold on them.
I didn't. No. It is punky or like punk hardcore.
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of. And I think I was turned off on that. And also, I just felt like the crowd was like, bleh.
The crowd that night we'll eventually do a podcast on this, but the crowd was there for James and Rob. The crowd wasn't there for the fucking music. Yeah. Some were, but the majority of the crowd was there to see the celebrities, right? Like it felt like it was that more than anything else.
Yeah. But we're gonna do a whole episode on that. So
yeah.
But I didn't even care for their performance during it. Even like, so there's parts of it, and I'm gonna compare it to the two shows, even though we haven't even recorded the other.
Yeah.
One. But so when the vocalist comes out, he he has this persona that he does, and it's like he's making faces and like, you know, just moving around and stuff and like doing things like that. And when we saw them with Bastard Dane and Odo, it was a turnoff to me. I'm just like, I don't care for this. However, seeing him at this show, I don't know if it's also maybe the smaller venue that it just worked better.
Yeah.
But I was just like, this is fun. This is funny. Like, he has a good persona. He has a good front. Like, he's interacting with the crowd with his facial expressions and like all this, you know, like, I don't know. I think it may be the smaller venue aspect of it. And also like the crowd was, I'm going to use the word tighter, but like, I mean, it's less space for people to spread out and stuff. And there was like a pit open and, you know, like people were two-step into the hardcore parts and like all this. I don't know. Like, it was just more fun compared to seeing them before.
So the singer comes out both times. Well, not this time. This time he had a hoodie on, but the first time at Bastard Dane Odo, I don't remember if he had a hoodie on or not, but he came out, I think it was just a white shirt, but he came out with, he's got like bleach blonde hair, and he's got not solid black, but like very dark black tattoos, sleeves going up, neck tattoos, face tattoos. He eventually takes his shirt off. He's got his chest is fully tatted up. His back is fully tatted up.
Oh, he has flesh across his back. That's really cool.
Yeah, and it's like the death metal sort of like font and whatnot, right? It looks fucking sick. I love his tattoo work, right? But he comes out with that like bleach blonde hair. And like, this is fucking weird. But then I remember, all right, well, you know who else is like that? The dude from Paleface Swiss.
Oh, yeah.
Very similar vibe, very similar look.
Yeah.
Also, I kind of get the vibe with like the tattoos, the way they look. I get Lorna Shore vibes from it, the artwork and everything on it, right? It's like, oh, this is Lorna Shore shit. This is awesome. So I expect, especially at that first show, I'm like, I'm going to fucking get death metal, metalcore, like death metalcore shit going on here right now.
Yeah.
And then they come out and do punk. I'm like, what in the fuck is going, like, your image doesn't fit the music. Like, I don't get, like, I was thrown from like that and like the expectation of you need to look a certain way or act a certain way to play music. And like this dude's persona like instantly throws a wrench in. It's like, no, fuck that. You just look the way you want to look and play the music you want to play.
Exactly. I was just going to say, like, with you being like, you don't look the part. It's
Yeah.
definitely Paleface Swiss. Because when that vocalist came out, I'm like, what is this preppy motherfucker doing here with a knit shirt on? Like,
Same. Yeah. Same thing, but they come out and fucking throw down and fucking rip your face off.
Yeah.
And they do the same thing here. Not necessarily rip your face off, but they put on a great fucking show.
Yes.
And it did take me a few moments at that first show to get that shit out of my head and just be like, fuck what he looks like, fuck what he's wearing and shit. He's here to play music, listen to the music, listen to what's going on, and enjoy that. If you like the music, who gives a fuck who's back there singing it? And I eventually it grew on me pretty quick actually at that show, and here I was super excited for. I was a little bit worried that you were gonna be like, "Fuck, this isn't good." But I'm glad to hear that you kind of came around like, "Oh, this was a lot of fun."
Which kind of shows that like just because you hear a band or see a band one time, like don't let that be your all. You know, like I'm never gonna see them again, sort of thing.
And we've had that multiple times where we've gone to see a band as like an opener or something, and like, oh, this isn't that good. And they're on another tour as another opener, and fuck it, let's go check this out. And we see it against, holy shit, that's a lot better than I remember. What the fuck was wrong with me that time?
Yeah, exactly. Like, so, I mean, we just recorded an episode last week, a whole week ago, about me not liking like hardcore or punk music or whatever, and like this time it grew on me. Like I don't even know, one of the songs I'm like, this is really catchy, and like, I was like singing along by the end of it. I'm like, this is really fun.
I think they also had a lot of friends in the crowd as well, because there were times where he'd hand over the mic to somebody in the crowd and they would sing it word for word.
Yeah, I don't know if they're friends or they just know the music that well.
Maybe I don't know, but like it's like
he did do that.
Clearly,
he just, like,
you know this guy.
And, like, was like, holy shit! Like,
clearly, you've seen this kid before. He's been at your other shows, and he knows your shit because he was singing it perfectly as well, which is really cool because they are a smaller local band.
Yeah,
it's really cool to play a larger opening act for a larger band and have people who like you go to the, I don't want to say underground shows, but the smaller shows that you go to. the house parties or wherever the fuck you play. I don't know how to find them, but yeah.
Just go knock on some houses. Like,
I think that's
"You
what we
got a
got to do.
party?"
Yeah, it sounds like there's good music in there. Just start knocking like, hey, can we hang out? We're old. It's fine. It turns out you're in like a high school. No, let's actually not do that.
No, let's not do that. That's a good way to get arrested.
Yeah. In any case, I fucking loved it. Though the one thing I do remember about the first time we saw them versus this time is their last track. I don't know if you remember much about that, but there was a part where I think the song is called "You Weren't Invited," like a self-titled type song, right? And he hands the mic over to the guitar player, I think, or somebody in the band, and the guy's like, "Hey, I heard you have a cool party tonight. Can I come?" And then the singer takes it back. "No, you weren't invited." And they go into like the next bit. I kind of remember every single band member at the Bastard Dane Odo show doing their own sort of, "Hey, can I go do this?" And then the singer going
Oh,
like,
really?
"No, you weren't invited." They only did it once here.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, they started doing that and I heard that. It's like, it jogged my memory. It's like, holy shit, this is actually a lot of fun. I hope it changes every show.
Yeah.
It just like improv like a thing. But they only did it the one time here. I swear to God, they did it multiple times.
Yeah, I don't remember at House of Blues what they did. So.
But yeah, we were invited. Super awesome to see again. Another local band, and yeah, it was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I remember after seeing both Suncrusher and We Were Not Invited again, thinking that the last time we were at Bottom Lounge, there was like 2 Chicago bands that were really fucking awesome as well, and I'm just like, these are the shows that like we don't necessarily see them announce, because they don't have a bigger name to them.
And part of that's on us to actually go out and try to seek it. And we are doing that now by following them on Instagram.
We are,
but it's now that we know about them, we're doing this.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's just a snowball. Now we found out about other bands local that we can do that.
Exactly. But like, that's what I want to find even more of, is just like these little bands.
Yeah. And I did want to bring...
Not little bands. That's the wrong way to say it. But the local bands.
Local bands, yes. Yeah. And I did want to bring that to the end, and we will bring it up at the end. But this is our second show at Bottom Lounge, our 2 shows in a row at Bottom Lounge. We've seen 7 bands now all together across those 2 shows. Orbit Culture, Repentance, Burnt Effigy. Those 3. Burnt in Effigy, sorry. Suncrusher, We Weren't Invited, Darkest Hour, and Norma Jean are the 7 bands. At the end of this, when we're done talking, I want to not necessarily rank all the bands, but I want to try to rank all the bands of those 7. Because I think there's a really interesting thing there that I personally find.
Okay. I have no clue what you're going with, but we'll do that.
We'll get there at the end, yeah. But you did bring that up, and I think it's interesting. But getting to the next band, Darkest Hour, and let's see if we have a set list. I did not finish the outline for this episode, so let's see if this link does anything.
It's funny while you're pulling that up. Darkest Hour, like, I kept thinking that we had seen them before, and I even, after they got done performing, I went to like all of our spreadsheets of all our bands to see if we'd seen them. Then I started looking at playlists on Spotify. I'm like, I feel like I've heard of them before, but like I couldn't pick out like a certain song or anything. It's just something about their sound or something about them. I just felt like we had seen them before, but I don't think we have.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
And I could not find them come up on any of the playlists that I like.
Really? Okay.
My go-to playlist on Spotify. So I don't know what it is about it.
Also, this was, according to Setlist FM, this was a Riot Fest pre-show or late night show, which is weird because this was a couple days before Riot Fest even started.
It was the day before.
Was it just the day before?
Wasn't it?
No,
it was 2 days before.
Yeah.
2 days before.
It's just weird to me because I always assumed after shows were during the festival and not like before the festival.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't see any presentation or any announcements from Riot Fest, but I wasn't really opening those emails.
But they also, I mean, Riot Fest does like Riot Fest Presents like all the time. So
yeah, they do.
It could just be one of those.
But I don't know if this was on there. Honestly can't remember.
I honestly don't look at them. So
yeah,
most of the bands that Riot Fest promote or announce are not bands that I'm into. It's more alternative shit that I don't listen to.
Yeah, I'm more into it than you are for sure. But yeah, I didn't see a set list for them, unfortunately, which really sucks because I really fucking liked it.
I liked them too, yeah.
It was really, really fucking good.
And like I said, it was something that like I felt like I had heard before, I had seen before, so.
Yeah. same thing. I'm surprised that we haven't seen them before. It was definitely like a sort of a, not death metal-y, or was it death metal? I can't remember.
No.
I just remember really fucking enjoying their set
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know what genre they have.
Let me look up their genre really quick, because we care so much about genres.
We don't. Others do. But genres are also a good frame of reference for people to like, oh, it's...
No, I think so too. Yeah. Like, oh, I like metalcore bands, so maybe somebody else will. So they are from Washington, D.C.
They did say that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, I remember them saying that. Which is so funny, because remember this week I saw a DC car when we were walking to the grocery store. And I was like,
no, I don't remember that.
I made a comment about the DC license plate. Like, oh, it's funny that they have.
You did. I remember that conversation now. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be funny if it's them?
Melodic
death metal is their genre.
I get that now. Thinking back on it a little bit. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
I fucking loved it. The melodic aspect of it, the death metal aspect, it was so fucking good.
Yeah, it was really good. And like I said, I think now 3 times, like I swear I've heard them before, but I could not place them anywhere.
Yeah, I can't either, honestly.
Yeah, it was so good. Like, I don't know. I can't wait to see them again. That's all I have to say is we need to see them again.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Yeah. I wish that maybe somebody will have a set list up, like if they put it, somebody puts something up.
I've given it a week. I'm going to give it a little bit longer because we have a lot of shows now to add to our playlist, and the longer I wait, the shittier it gets for me to do all at once.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's hard because then you have to move them up.
So eventually what happens is I'll eventually just give up and I won't go back and look. I'll just stop at that point.
Yeah.
And it's going to be maybe a couple more days now, and I'll check maybe like Wednesday of this week. It's Monday when we're recording this. Might be Wednesday because we also have the Sepultura show. There's a lot of stuff there that we didn't get to see. So, or not see, but there's no set list for, and we really want that shit on there as well. And I don't just want to throw random ass shit from the band on there, like the top 5 songs from Spotify, which they probably were played, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's not how we do our set list.
So there's a good chance that won't be on there, unfortunately. But it's definitely Darkest Hour is definitely a band I'm going to check out, which was Claustrophobia the night before at Sepultura was just like that as well, where it's like they're not going to be on the set list more than likely, but they're on the list of like, I now want to buy your vinyl. I now want to listen to you more often. Yeah, and exactly. Darkest Hour the exact same fucking way.
And you like melodic death metal bands.
I do. I really do.
You gravitate to them. Like whenever we hear anything that has that melodic, like the death metal tones, but then the melodic aspect for the vocals.
It just works so well, in my opinion. Like I grew up listening to like classical music and stuff, right? And you have those melodic tones in there, and it just, the vibe it gives you, it gives me like, it can give you the sense of dread, just the melodicness of it itself, of being very dark, very gloomy.
Yeah.
And then you tack on the vocals on top of it with that like deep growls potentially, like, and that just the vocals can then add on top of, again, the music. And that's why I like vocals, not for the content of the lyrics, but like how the vocals fit into the music itself. So doom metal, melodic death metal, those two are like, oh my God, that's a sweet spot for me for sure.
Yeah. And now that you say that, I wonder if that's kind of my turn off on like hardcore vocals, because I feel like it's just like a scream talk sort of thing. And it doesn't flow with the music, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we're not talking about Knocked Loose right now. We'll talk about them maybe in a future episode, but I know you say, I think that when you said that, that's what I thought of. Like his vocals with Knocked Loose are just that high-pitched scream. It's growing on me more and more.
The more I hear it, and we have seen them 2 times now live, it does grow on me a little bit more. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
It's hard.
And I get that. I do get that for sure.
Like, the vocals for Darkest Hour is totally different, where like it flows with the music, and I don't know, like it goes together much better. Better? Is that how you say it? Is that English?
Yeah, it might be English. Maybe not proper English, but it's English. I'm trying to remember the crowd too. I remember the crowd getting super into it, and I think the pit was super big for this. Yeah. We ended up moving not away from the pit, but there were a couple people who just kept chatting the entire time. Yeah. And so a hole opened up on stage right, so we were able to like scooch closer to the stage. Yeah. And honestly, it worked out better because we got a good shot of the stage and less chatter over there.
Yeah, they kind of pissed me off. Well, like not one person didn't because it felt like that they were just like listening to the music and kind of like nodding their head all the time. But then the other person who was talking all the time, I'm like, at one moment they're really into the music and then the next minute they're talking. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, just.
Yeah, Darkest Hour is fucking awesome. They're going to be in the regular rotation for me.
Oh, yeah.
They'll start to be for sure.
I can't wait for them to come back to Chicago to see a show or for us to see a show.
Yeah. But then that leads us to our headliner, Norma Jean.
Norma Jean.
Why don't you read off their set list for us?
They started with Call for Blood, A Grand Scene for a Color Film, Memphis Will Be Laid to Waste, Spearmint Revolt, Sleep Explosion, Reaction, Mind Over Mind, Funeral Singer, Falling from the Sky, Day 7, The End of All Things Will Be Televised, Bayonet Work, Vultures in Vivid Color, I Used to Hate Cell Phones, but Now I Hate Car Accidents.
That's a cool name.
That is funny. If You Got It at 5, You Got It at 50. Oh, that's cool. Wait, is that like age?
I don't know, yeah.
Sword in Mouth, Fire Eyes, 1 Million Watts, Vipers, Snakes, and Actors, 1994. And they had an encore of Face to Face.
Face.
Oh, what did I say?
Face to face, but it's like face.
Yeah.
Face, yeah.
Dilemma Machine, Coalition Hoax. All I have to say is they didn't have a tambourine.
Oh, that's right. You were super excited for the tambourine.
So I knew nothing about Norma Jean as well. You bought the tickets to the show, which I'm very happy you did because we got to see 3 amazing bands opening. But the week of the show, I was just looking at Instagram and somebody had posted like, "Fucking Norma Jean has a tambourine." Basically, is what like the thing was, and it was just like zoomed in video of a guy playing a tambourine or whatever.
Was it just a normal guy, or was it the drummer, or who was it?
I don't know. I don't know who it was. Maybe the tambourine is always there, and he was just sick for the day or something. I don't know.
Is it every song or just a couple of songs?
I don't know. It was a 10-second video on Instagram.
All right.
But
you didn't hear or see a tambourine all night?
All night, I kept looking for a tambourine, and it wasn't there, and I was very disappointed at the end of the night.
I wasn't really paying attention. I did not enjoy this set at all.
I didn't enjoy it
was
either.
not fucking good in my opinion. It's just not my music. And is this like old school metalcore?
Possibly.
Like it
Let me look.
kind of had metalcore vibes, but also didn't have it. It almost seemed like this was the original metalcore, and then metalcore
Like
evolved.
90s metalcore?
Yeah, or early 2000s, and then it evolved into what it is now. So it doesn't have the same aspect of metalcore, but it's like this is the root of where metalcore came from.
Possibly. 1997, and they are metalcore.
Wait, 1997?
Yeah.
Then what the fuck's up with this 1994 tour?
I don't know.
Come on.
I mean, that's a song. So
Is it?
Was that an out? Yeah.
Oh, it is 1994, the final song, yeah.
So they are metalcore, post-hardcore, mathcore, and sludge metal.
I don't get sludge metal. I don't get mathcore.
No.
I don't.
Is it mathcore when it's like that really technical, like really fast?
That's what I think of mathcore. Like Meshuggah is math metal, like right?
And then there's that other band that starts with a P. I can't ever remember what the name is, but
Pussifer? No, Periphery.
Periphery. Yeah.
I think that's what you're thinking of.
No, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't into it.
That
In my mind, it was like an indie rock band playing metalcore.
maybe
Does that or like indiecore?
indiecore. I don't know. Like
I couldn't get into it.
Reaction is one song I do remember liking a lot, and there's one song later on. I don't know what song it is. I'm definitely adding this to the playlist, so
Yeah, so we can listen to it again.
I'll listen to this album or this set list again and find it. But there were a couple of songs that I found very enjoyable, and I really did like. And Reaction, I think, was one of them. And it was later in this set list. I don't know where exactly that I didn't, but I did really enjoy that track as well. But for the most part, it was just, I don't know. It sounded generic. It sounded like everything I hear all the time, right? Like it just didn't sound unique or fresh, or it didn't offer anything new, right? And there's sometimes I like that. I like when I find something I like. Vintage this way. They sound a lot like Slipknot, right? And I like that. I like the way Slipknot sounds, but Slipknot sound itself is also a unique sound. Or at least it was at the time, and maybe not. I don't know. I don't listen to much stuff like Slipknot. So, like, cool. Vintage sounds like Slipknot. I'm fine with that because I like it. This just sounded meh.
Yeah.
It sounded like everything else, and it didn't offer me anything new to explore. And outside the few tracks that I do remember liking, that I'll have to go back and figure out exactly what tracks they are, it just wasn't, there was nothing that was sort of like, oh my God, this is amazing.
I'm right there with you. Yeah, like after like 3 or 4 songs, I think I was like, I'm going to go to the restroom. And then we kind of just hung back and listened. We stayed for the whole thing.
We did stay for the whole thing, yeah.
But it was just kind of like, let me sit here or stand here and listen to the music, but I'm not into it.
Yes,
Does
yes.
that make sense?
Yep.
Like, which is fine. I mean, we're not into everything, but
And you don't have to be, right? You find the things you like and you enjoy the things you like.
Yeah.
But at least try new things.
Right. And granted, I don't know how the crowd was or like how full the room was during like darkest hour, and I know earlier in the night it was pretty empty, but for Norma Jean by the end of the night it cleared out a lot. I felt like there was a lot of space, but then again during darkest hour I don't know what the back looked like because we were like in the crowd.
It did clear out some for sure.
Yeah.
It filled up as the night went on because Suncrusher, there was nobody there when it started. But if by the end it had filled out a bit and it just got more and more out throughout the night. After darkest hour though, it may have thinned out a little bit as well.
Yeah. I don't know. I just couldn't get into it.
Same. Yeah.
I don't even want to say like I'm going to check it out again. Like if they come through and tour again, I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't necessarily jump on it and be like, "Oh, Norma Jean's
No, I'm
coming."
passing next time they come through for sure.
Yeah.
Unless they have really cool openers again.
I mean, if they have Suncrusher going with them again, I will definitely.
Or as you pointed out, the tickets really weren't that bad.
They weren't bad.
If they come back and they play Park West, I'll buy it for that. And maybe that's what it was. Maybe Park West is a larger venue than this for sure. So maybe Park West they couldn't sell that out. So like we're going to move over to Bottom Lounge.
Yeah. And it could be also, we've talked about this before with the lineup where Suncrusher is heavy. Then we get hardcore with We Were Not Invited. Darkest Hour is heavy. And then you get to them, which is just
metalcore-ish.
Indiecore.
You're calling it indiecore, yeah.
That's what I'm gonna call it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't find. I didn't get too many metalcore aspects of it.
That's what I didn't either, but it felt metalcore without feeling metalcore, right? And that's what I'm getting at. Is like when I was listening to it, I was like, this doesn't sound like metalcore, but it kind of does, and kind of feels like it, even though it doesn't. It's weird, right?
Yeah.
So I could see them being the root, like I was saying, the root of where metalcore came from.
Well, I'm glad it got better. That's all I gotta say.
I'm not a fan of metalcore, so I'm not going to say one way or the other. But I don't know. I'm going to listen to this. I'm going to throw this on the set list, and I'm going to listen to it again. I'm going to add this to our playlist and listen through it again because I want to find the couple tracks I liked.
Yeah.
And this might be a band that to me sounds better recorded than live.
Possibly.
There are those bands that I like one way or the other. Like Wargasm's a good example here where I don't necessarily like the recorded stuff, but I like them live because of the energy and the environment they produce while being live. This could be something where it's like, I don't like your live set, but I like your music.
Exactly.
So I'm going to check it out and try to find those tracks, and I'll see how I feel afterwards. But yeah, it didn't appeal to me. It wasn't something I enjoyed. I'm glad we stayed to the end, but at the same time, I was like, meh on it the whole time.
Yeah, that's how I was.
Getting back to what I was bringing up a little earlier.
Your 7 bands.
We saw those 7 bands over 2 shows here at Bottom Lounge.
Yes.
Of those 7, 4 were local to Chicago.
Yes.
And I kind of wanted to rank them because Orbit Culture for me is definitely at the top. Possibly Darkest Hour would be number 2. After that, take those 4 Chicago bands and put them in any fucking order. Whatever it is, I would probably put We Weren't Invited at the bottom of that list and the other ones, scattered up. But you could really honestly put it in any order and you wouldn't be wrong, in my opinion. And then Norma Jean at the bottom of that list in terms of what I thought were the best sets and the best shows at that venue, and I was trying to just think what you thought. Do you agree with that?
I mean, I would probably go Orbit Culture, Suncrusher, Darkest Hour.
Oh, really?
Repentance, We Were Not Invited, Norma Jean. Did I get them all?
Burned in Effigies.
Oh, Burned in Effigy. Oh, fuck.
They're really fucking good.
Oh. Yeah, that's hard.
See, Burned in Effigy and Repentance to me are closer to the top, and then you have those two flippable in any case. Then you get Suncrusher and We Were Invited.
I liked Suncrusher better than Repentance or Burned
Really?
in Effigy. Yeah, I really like them. I've already listened to them like 3 times now.
But again, I'm saying you can take all 4 of those and you can put them in any order, and you wouldn't be wrong in my opinion.
Yeah, no.
I have my opinion, what I think is best, but if you tell me that's yours, like Suncrusher is better than all of them, like, all right, that's cool. They were very fucking good. Sure, I could see that.
It's hard to rank them all. I would probably, I mean, as long as Norma Jean's at the bottom, it doesn't matter where everything else is.
And we hate doing rankings. Yeah. We hate when people do fucking shit like that. But the main point I wanted to bring by this is fucking Chicago bands have owned that fucking stage the last 2 shows. They have fucking crushed that stage.
Yeah. I think that's what I was trying to say. Like, we've seen 2 shows there now within like 3 weeks of each other. And 4 of the bands were Chicago locals who were amazing.
I didn't know the scene in Chicago was this fucking good, honestly. And it's like you were saying earlier, like, we don't know about that. We don't know how to find it. And because of Norma Jean and Orbit Culture for bringing these local bands onto your stage and onto your show, even though I wasn't a big fan of your set, Norma Jean, thank you for doing this. Thank you for introducing people to other music, other bands. That's the great thing about live music, is you get to find these other bands that you wouldn't have potentially otherwise, right? So even though I didn't enjoy Norma Jean's set, thank you for bringing these bands along with you. I will respect you. Thank you for that. Like, I just so much love for that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, I think I feel like with what you were just saying, you're trying to like make up for saying like I didn't like your set.
No,
but I mean, I think it's fine to not be into music of one type or another. Like,
right.
I mean, we're not going to be into everything. It's just a sound that they did not suck at by any means.
It just wasn't our taste.
It wasn't our taste.
Right.
Like, the performance was good. The music is okay. It's just not what we're into.
Yeah.
So we're not going to gravitate towards it.
And I wasn't trying to say, like, I'm sorry for this. It's more of like saying, even though I don't like your stuff, I appreciate and respect what you do. Yeah. And it's not my thing, but I respect what you're doing, and you're doing it right.
And they're doing it all over the place. I actually looked. They're touring for a long time. But they're having, like, I think maybe in Chicago, like, they only had Suncrusher and we're not invited. They're not touring with them, but Darkest Hour and them are. And then in other parts of the country, like, other bands are opening for them. And, like, almost every city, it seems like they're having, like, local bands open.
And Orbit Culture was the same way, where Repentance at least went to a couple of
a few of them,
the area around, like, they were in Detroit and they were here, maybe a few other places. But then as they venture out other places, they're not going there. And I hate the choose your own adventure shows of, like, who you gonna see. Yeah, you got to look at the little symbols.
Because we had that with I don't even know what show it was, but next year we're like, we got to make sure we have a show between this date and this date because there's a band we want to see.
Yeah, so I hate that fucking shit so much, but I do like it when you do it this way, where it's like the choose your own adventure aspect is, which of your local bands are you gonna see? We have our one opener that we always tour with, or who's gonna be the entire gig, but who are the other bands you're going to see? Like, it's going to be local.
Yeah.
Which gives you then more reason to follow the band and maybe go to a different city and see them.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, go to Denver and see who you get. And I just real quick about the Chicago scene being so good. I do remember the first time we were at the Decibel Metal and Beer Festival a couple years ago. And it seemed like all of the openers were
local
Denver doom metal bands.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy fuck. Doom metal in Denver is fucking off the chain. It's so fucking good. But Chicago's got a good metal scene. I did not know that. So I'm excited to explore it deeper.
Yeah, in my mind, Chicago isn't like metal. It's more like rap or R&B.
No, I'm more punk, honestly.
Punk?
I get the punk vibe, like with Reggie's for sure.
Oh,
being like your big local club.
I guess I'm thinking of like the people who are handing out their CDs and like trying to like get
Oh, on
around,
like the train lines and whatnot.
like trains and like at games and stuff like that.
Yeah, I can. All right, I see what you're saying there. I get that, but I've always thought of Chicago as more punk than anything. A little rap for sure, but also punk. Metal is sort of like
I
the
guess I don't
afterthought.
gravitate to punk, so I'm just like
I don't
punk.
either, but it just seems very punky to me, especially again with Reggie's of being like the big, small local club. I don't know if other many clubs like Reggie's in the city, right? Like all the other venues are owned by somebody that aren't doing local shit. There probably are some.
There's a lot of them, I think. We just don't go to them.
That could be.
Don't know
That could
them.
be.
Yeah.
Any case, this was a really good fucking show, and like I said, Chicago bands fucking own that stage so far. I can't wait to go back to Bottom Lounge and see what new Chicago bands we see.
One thing about the Chicago bands I thought of I think it was actually during Weren't Invited, and that's why I was like, holy fuck, we've seen a lot of Chicago local bands here. But it's like, how cool would it be to like go to a venue and like constantly see shows, or like see shows as a patron, but then be able to perform at a venue?
Oh yeah,
like,
that's fucking
really
awesome.
Cool.
It's gonna be awesome. Yeah.
Anyways, oh shit.
All right, well, we're wrapping it up anyway. And the camera just died, so we're just gonna throw up our like little logo or some shit up here. I'm not changing the battery and shit. So
to say bye.
Yeah, basically to say goodbye. In any case, like I was saying, go check out some live music. It's fucking awesome. You're gonna find some really cool shit, as we've obviously found this night,
as we just talked about for 50 minutes.
So yeah, go check out some live music, and we'll catch you at the next show.
Bye.